Hi, Todd VanDenburg here with VanDenburg Capital Management and another Uncommon Sense update. So did you miss me? You may have noticed, basically February, no videos from me. And the reason for that is when the markets are doing well, as they have for the last few months, um, it's putting videos out that try to point at things that maybe people should be alarmed about or looking at. I'm just not a big fan of the whole hyperbole and agitate people to get more clicks or views. So I basically just, didn't produce any more videos. But now Chairman Powell came out today and talked a little bit about, their plans for, where interest rates might go in the coming year. And with the inflation rate sitting, stubbornly above 3%, I think it was like 3.09% was the latest read. The Fed has come out and said that, they're not in any hurry to lower interest rates. And we see that as a problem. And here's why. So I'm going to show you a series of charts that sort of walk you through the why are interest rates a problem. And it's not just for businesses and people that like CDs and that kind of stuff. So here's where it goes. As you may have noticed, the national debt has gone to over $34 trillion. I think it's somewhere like $34.5 trillion right now. And our national debt has just continued to go one direction, except for one rare year when President Clinton was in the White House and Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House. Many of you are too young to even remember that, but I digress. In any case, that was really the only year that the deficit didn't grow, at least in my lifetime. So now we have this trajectory, right, where the deficit and the debt, and the national debt continues to increase year over year over year. But what we've noticed is in the last 4 or 5 years is that we went from a place where you could have maybe a $200, $300, $400 billion annual deficit that everybody agreed was just ridiculous and off the charts and had us heading towards a fiscal cliff. And then we hit the financial crisis, and the annual deficit was over $3 trillion. But we had to do that in order to protect the banking system in the US dollar. Well, the problem is that it never really came back. So, once we sort of cracked that $1 trillion mark, now we find ourselves, 15 years past the fiscal crisis, and during the pandemic, there we go again, right? The federal government borrowing more money, spending close to $2 trillion of money that we didn't have, and this coming year, it looks like we're going to spend about $1.6 trillion more than we bring in. And the reason that this is a problem, dovetailed with what the Federal Reserve is talking about, is what this next chart's going to show you. And that is the annual interest that we pay on our national debt. And what you can see is, even for the longest time, right, when we were accumulating more and more debt, and the interest that we had to pay every year on that debt, it didn't really go up that much. It was sitting at $300, $400, $500 billion, and it just floated in that range. But here's the problem: is with the Federal Reserve keeping interest rates where they are now, every time the federal government borrows another trillion or $2 trillion to fund its operations, that's got to be borrowed from we the people and from people around the globe at much higher interest rates. I mean, substantially higher interest rates than they were paying just 2 years ago. So as a result, we've seen the interest payment that we have on our annual interest payment go from $400 to $500 billion to over $1 trillion, and it's consuming a significant chunk, just the interest, a significant chunk of all the money that the government spends every year, which is just putting even more pressure on all the other programs that they want to spend money on. And this is where this sort of snowball effect could take place. Now, I'm not trying to get anybody too overly concerned. This isn't like the snowball that starts at the top of the hill and it's only this big and and by the time it gets halfway down the hill, it's big as your whole body. And by the time it gets towards the bottom of the hill, where all the citizens are looking up at the avalanche, and that ball rolling down the hill, it's it's 100 meters across. So we're not there yet, but that ball is starting down the hill, and it's still within our power to do something about it. It's still within our power to change course and just accept that the federal government cannot be the solution to all of our problems, especially when they have the power to borrow in what appears to be an unlimited fashion in order to help us. We are right on the edge of going too far, I guess is what I'm saying. We haven't gone too far yet. So as I've been saying for a long time about some of these things that I see in the future as potential problems, we are driving headlong at 80 miles an hour towards the Grand Canyon cliff. We still have plenty of time to turn. We still have, there's many turns in the road that we can take that get us heading not towards the Grand Canyon, but we have an election coming up, and it's really time for all of us to start holding our elected officials accountable for our fiscal house. And I know it's hard to do because sometimes we just want our side to win, and so we'll vote for our side no matter what. But I'm just hoping that as I talk more about this this year, that more and more people will start to look at, okay, well, how do we start putting people into elected office that are going to actually be a little more fiscally responsible? Because as it stands right now, nobody's doing it. The Democrats and the Republicans get together and they just agree to spend more, and they do compromises. Maybe the Democrats wanted to spend $2 trillion more, this year, and the Republicans said, okay, well, how about if we just do 1.6 trillion? That's still $1.6 trillion more than we bring in. It's insane. So yes, it's now official. It appears it's going to be a Trump-Biden campaign and a presidential election. So darn, but it is what it is. So as we get to headed towards this election, please let's all try to take a step back, and let's not just vote for the candidate that's has the same party as we do. Let's start holding our elected officials accountable so that they don't push us over the cliff at the Grand Canyon, because that is the direction that we are heading. And in spite of that, we've got the Dow at 38,600 today. Not quite to where I said it will be by the end of the year, but we still have time. We're not, again, on the edge of fiscal collapse, because the U.S. economy is still the most resilient economy on the planet. It still grows in ways that nobody anticipates, because our free market economy, if there's money to be had, people will find a way to start businesses and run their businesses so that they can get that money. So I'm not afraid that we can't do this. It's not a fait accompli yet. It's just I'm going to start raising more visibility to this, because we are the ones who have to start holding our elected officials accountable. And we can do what we've been doing for much of my lifetime, and let them try to fix all the things that are wrong with our country. But we're at a point where we need to sort of be singularly focused on, it's time to start being fiscally responsible. So a little long-winded on that. I showed a few charts and graphs, so I feel good about that. I promise I won't take another month off, because it looks like the rest of the year is going to be pretty busy for us and for all of us. So that was your update. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, give us a share, and I promise I'll be back again soon with another Uncommon Sense update. Thanks for watching.
If you'd like to be the first to hear of more Uncommon Sense updates like these, please click the subscribe button below we'd really appreciate it. Thanks again.